This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition.
Today's going to be a long day. The customer called saying that multiple air conditioners are down. They're saying their whole entire dining room's hot. The office is hot. This has been happening a lot more and more because slowly in the county that I'm in, these restaurants are allowed to start opening up to limited capacity. And once they start putting the maximum amount of people in the dining room, they start to notice that they've actually had ACs down for up to 6 months. You know, because they really haven't had us do any major service. Now, at the same time, this, of all things, this actual particular customer has ordered around a PM service. So I have another service tech coming here with me today because I have a feeling these ACs are gonna need filters, belts, all that fancy stuff. So I'm gonna get started on it. We're gonna start with their office AC because they're saying it's not working. The first thing I did was went down to their thermostats and turned them all on and gave them all a full call for cool. So we're gonna jump on this guy first. It should be running, it's not. Their main kitchen AC is running, which is a good thing. Doing a visual inspection, that's easy. Aftermarket condenser fan motor, chopped off the leads. Probably blue fuses too, I'm sure. All right, this is an older Carrier with a compressor lockout board. What we do is you go to the lockout board and you check between X and C, and if it's locked out, it's gonna give you a 24 volt call, 25 volt call. So the unit has locked itself out. Now let's check and see if we have 3-phase power. So 1 to 2, 208, okay. Let's see if I can do this without blowing something up. 208. Wow, we have 3-phase power coming to this unit. So 1 lead, 2 lead, 3rd lead up there on the fan contactor. So, or fan relay. Yeah, we've got 3-phase power. So we're locked out, more than likely we're locked out on high pressure. So the first thing we need to do on this guy is start with the condenser fan motor. So with that being said, I don't have that fan motor. We're gonna have to call and order one. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next AC. We're just gonna kind of triage these things. This is gonna be a fun day. Open up the next AC and there's refrigerant oil everywhere. Bet you there's black right in here, so I bet you we grounded a compressor and blew out a terminal. All right, this one's breakers tripped and or fuses are tripped. There's no power. There's no refrigerant in the system. Just grab the Schrader, pushed it all the way in. No refrigerant left in there. Meter is set to continuity. Okay, so that's touching the copper lines. Let's go ahead and check across the windings. Nothing, nothing, nothing. It's completely open. And then let's go ahead and check to ground. If I can get a good ground on this. It's interesting, it's not grounded, but the windings, it's definitely grounded. The wires or terminals might have completely broken off inside. So we've got a bad compressor. Now, luckily for them, this is the 2nd stage. Being that it's the 2nd stage compressor, so long as the 1st stage is still good, I can get it up and running. Now, if it was the 1st stage, what could happen potentially is the bottom evaporator wouldn't condensate, so therefore when the top evaporator condensates, the water would suck off the coil and get into the duct. But luckily for them, it's the 2nd stage. So we're gonna isolate the electrical, disconnect the contactor, and then replace the fuses and turn it on and see if we can get this unit operational, at least on the 1st stage for now. Yeah, it's a little crazy in here right now. So, we got multiple ACs down. Oh man, that's a bummer. So we got another one tripped too, AC1. Which one am I working on? That's a good question. I don't know which one I'm working on. I gotta go back up there. I thought I was gonna come down and just find one breaker tripped. So that's off, that's off. I don't wanna turn it on until I isolate it. It did not blow the fuses. Interesting, usually the fuses are the weak point, but. All right, I reset it. 210. And last but not least. Okay, so we got 3-phase power. I already checked the fuses. I'm gonna fire this guy up and see if the rest of it will run. Actually, before I fire it up, we're gonna check for any other direct shorts to ground real quick. No other direct shorts, we're gonna fire it up. All right, compressor started. They always do that on startup. So we're gonna give it a few minutes to do a full start. I'm gonna put the unit back together. We're not done with this, but again, I'm just triaging, just going on, you know, figuring out a list of things that's going on here. Of course, there's lots of stuff that I wanna fix, but it's just a matter of what the customer wants to fix. I can give you a 99% guarantee they're not gonna replace any of these units, and we're gonna be repairing every one of them, even though it's R22. I can pretty much guarantee that. So we're just gonna get a list of things. All right, this is the next one. This one also had a tripped breaker. I don't like the wires, but it doesn't look like it's broken. What we're gonna do is check for direct shorts to ground over here real quick. So let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check by putting the camera down. No direct shorts to ground. That's interesting. Okay, we're gonna open up the indoor blower assembly, take a look at that, spin the motors, see if they spin, and go from there. Power's off still. Indoor blower motor spins. I don't have a burning smell or anything in there. So let's go over here, see if this condenser fan motor spins. Condenser fan motor spins. All right, let's open up this compressor section and have a look in here. Compressor looks fine. It's interesting because there's some condensation down in here, but I think that just might be from the dew because the ground's kind of wet outside. Let's see if we got refrigerant in here. Just gonna give it a little blast if I can. I don't think I'm depressing the Schrader right. I'm gonna have to get my other hand on this. Let's see. Grab a different screwdriver. Yeah, we got refrigerant in there. And it doesn't smell burnt. Okay, so we're fine on that. The wiring is something to be said for back there. It's just kind of running all crazy in there. There's lots of potentials for a direct short back there. Oh. I don't feel anything. No, I don't feel anything. What about back in here? I don't see anything. The capacitor, I don't like this. That's why I don't like the aftermarket stuff. I mean, there's a couple spots like maybe potential rub throughs. That's interesting though. Okay. So, we're gonna keep investigating. There's no direct shorts to ground. All the motors spin. There's refrigerant in the system. I don't see any visible electrical shorts. There shouldn't be any high voltage in here causing a breaker to trip. So the problem electrically should be here, here, condenser fan motor, compressor, draft motor. I got in here. The fuses are still good. We've got 3-phase power now that I reset the breaker. This, I don't see any rub outs here. Nothing here. This contactor down here looks like junk. Look at how bad that is in there. But again, the top contactor looks like it might have been replaced fairly recently. I don't see anything here. I mean, it doesn't look great, but I need to really get in here. This is kind of silly. Really get in here and inspect this stuff. I can't remember if I've shown this before, but so that should be the loss of charge switch, I believe. And then look at that. That's interesting for the high pressure switch. So this unit originally had a high pressure and a loss of charge, but these are all aftermarket. You can see this one's disconnected. That's a mess. All right, let's see what happens. Indoor blower turned on. Compressor started for a sec. Condenser fan motor started for a sec. I don't think it tripped the breaker. It's running at the moment. So I'm gonna put this panel on and we're gonna see if this guy starts up. While I'm waiting for that guy, this guy started up. So this one's just running with the first stage and both condenser fan motors are running. Whether or not the charge and everything's correct, I don't know yet. We're waiting for that one. Let's go over here and see what else is going on. Now, I turned these all on for a full call for cool a little while ago, but it might have already satisfied. This one's not calling. At least I don't think it is. We'll have to dig into it. This one's calling and running. Oh, can you guys see all that ice? Ooh, yeah, look at that compressor. This one, I already know, has a restriction in the metering device, and we brought it to the customer's attention, and they didn't want to change it. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's nice. Filters are pretty dirty. Not horrendous, but pretty dirty. Yeah, we're gonna have to set that one up for a defrost. Surprisingly, the filters aren't stuck to it. That's interesting. And the unit just satisfied. Go figure. But yeah, you can see how it's not icing up at the top. It looks like it's still a restriction issue. I'm gonna have to talk to the customer about that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here, disconnect the compressors, and leave this open so it pulls outside air through the evaporator and blows it downstairs, and hopefully it'll take a little while because it's kind of cool outside, but it'll defrost itself. And this guy's powered up, rejecting heat. Everything's good. I don't know that the unit's good, but it's rejecting heat. The condenser doesn't look to be too bad. Indoor blower motor's running nice and good. So I'm wondering if we have an intermittent short somewhere that caused the breaker to trip. I'm still going to investigate that one further, but for now we're going to put the panel back on and keep going with the units. All right, this is the one that was iced up. I went ahead and disconnected the low voltage for the time being. Contactor can't pull in, and then that way the indoor blower motor will pull outside air in and hopefully defrost itself. It'll take a while though because it's so cool, like I said. This unit is running. I still need to look at it right here, but I'm gonna leave that one be, and I'm gonna check on this one because I haven't seen that one run at all yet. All right, this unit, indoor blower's running. Let's go from, this one does not have a compressor lockout board. We have a 24 volt or 25 volt call for Y1 from C common to Y1. So knowing the schematic, that should run through the pressure controls, come out of the pressure controls, potentially go into a contactor, I mean a economizer, or somewhere in between there. The economizer, the pressure control should all be in series, and then come back to this contactor right here. So if we test on this contactor, if I can get in here, let's see, there's one, we've got no voltage on the contactor. If we look right here, there's a pressure control cut off, there's a pressure control cut off, but I look over there and it looks like someone installed aftermarket controls over there, and there is a high pressure control right there. What if I grab this guy? Condenser fan motor spins. Okay, I can actually see through the condenser coil, so that's a good sign. We need to get over there and check that high pressure control to see if it's tripped. Let's give this guy a push. High pressure control was tripped. So we're gonna put the panels on and we'll have to evaluate the system. This is crazy. Okay, so that one's running. I still got to check it out. So far, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one over in that corner. 5 ACs down. This one's running. We need to see if it's actually cooling over here. All right. Wow. These filters are plugged and they're saturated like it's been iced up. That, or they're just saturated because they're sucking in to the coil. Wow. Oh yeah, it's probably just because they're sucking into the coil and touching it. Yeah, this thing's heavy, and they're wicking the water off of the coil. Wow. All right, well, luckily I got a guy here that's going to be doing PM on these today. But again, the PM that they want is literally just filter changes. Like, we're not, you know, scrubbing the units down unless they absolutely need it. Drain pan doesn't look to be full down there. All right, well, we're gonna test the rest of this unit. Their makeup air unit is down too. This has actually been down for a while. Got a busted bearing, so we need a blower assembly rebuild. Oh man, these guys got some serious problems. So I'm gonna start taking a bunch of notes and getting them a list of issues. Starting with the AC that was working, that just had the plugged up filters. Went ahead and powered it down. Again, the condensation, I don't know if that's from ice or just condensation like dew from the roof. I came up here, opened this guy up, the belt was on, but this belt is getting stuck in the pulley. So pull down on it, push evenly, and it's binding in there. And run my fingers down in there, and it's worn out. So this pulley's a problem. This bearing doesn't sound good either, but we're gonna put a new belt on there. Try to make sure it's not getting stuck in that pulley. We're gonna have to replace that, but see, that's slowing down just from my experience. I think we might have a bearing issue with that, but this AC wasn't a problem. So put a belt on and see if it won't get stuck in there. All right, threw a new belt on. It's not too tight, but it's toast. It's literally getting stuck in there, and it's not allowing the pulley to turn. And if you look at the old belt, you can see the damage that the bad pulley was causing. Look at how the belt is like separating all the way around because it was getting stuck in there and it was binding up. I'm surprised the fuse wasn't blown on this, or we didn't burn out that motor. So yeah, we're gonna have to replace this pulley, but I'd like to get this AC going right now, so I might try adjusting the pulley. Not a fan of adjusting pulleys unless you really know what you're doing, because it's gonna mess up air balance. But maybe, no, I don't even think I can adjust it. We just need to change it. I can try though. Maybe we can adjust it and where it won't get stuck, and then still replace, because I'd like to finish triaging these units and get them a big list of issues. Rather than adjust it, if I leave the old one on there, it spins freely because it's worn down the belt enough. Now it's going to become a problem, but at least I can, like I said, get them a list. So we're definitely going to have to change that, and I'll warn them about the motor and see what they want to do. Put the belt back on that one, open up the electrical section. The contactors do not look bad. They've got normal wear. I don't see a need to have slight pitting, but I don't see the need. That one looks dusty, like it hasn't even ran, but okay, so we're putting this back together, and then we're gonna gauge up and check this guy out. Okay, this unit's now running, and we've got some issues here. First off, we're running a lower than normal superheat, which could possibly indicate an overcharge. But notice my suction line temp just disappeared, but it'll come back. But notice we're running a higher than normal head pressure. Subcooling, the subcooling's a hard number to look at because you're using discharge line pressure, so that number's a little skewed. The condenser's a little dirty on this guy, so we definitely need to clean that. But I'm concerned though, because that suction line temp keeps disappearing. But I'm concerned because we only have a 10-degree TD on this bad boy, 11 degrees. So the first stage doesn't look horrible, but the second stage we haven't seen yet. So I need to jump onto the second stage. And again, this is not a final diagnosis. This is just to make sure the unit is operating. I'm on the second stage now. Higher than normal head pressure. Superheat's low again on this one. Subcooling's high. Okay, first thing, what we're gonna do, this unit is operational. I have another tech here. I'm gonna have him clean this condenser. I'm gonna go ahead and get this indoor blower motor, and I'm gonna go get that condenser fan motor for that AC over there. We're gonna get those two dialed in. The other ones, this one's defrosted now. I know it has a restriction in the metering device, so I'm gonna turn it back on. So he's gonna finish cleaning. I'll have him clean this one really good, and then we'll fix that blower pulley and then go from there. Pulling this pulley off right now. When you do these pickle fork, or whatever you want to call it, I always called it a tuning fork, but I know everybody's gonna freak out. They work really good at getting these things off because you can just use leverage to slide everything off. And then worst case scenario, you got to go get your puller, but that thing usually does the trick. I've shown this a few times with these carrier motors. They're a joke, so use a straight edge if you can. And it's this bracket always flexes, so I had to shim the front because the motor was pitching way down. So it's not perfect, but it's like a million times better than it was. Nice and tight, everything's good. I just need to tighten up the tension rod so that way it doesn't slip down. And we'll fire this guy up and finish checking it out. All back together, and we're allowed to run 7.5 amps on the motor, so we're under current draw. I set it basically where the old one was, but I just wanted to make sure we weren't overamping. And then now we're going to go ahead and test everything else. All right, I can see it really well with my eyeballs, but you can take a pulley gauge like this, I've shown them before, and you set it on the pulley, okay? Get the top edge on, and that tiny gap right on the top of this right here is the problem. See how the pulley is worn down? It's not, that straight edge should be the shape of the pulley. And you can see that it's arched or it's curved. It's really easy to see that this thing's damaged. So, okay, pulley's done. Condenser and evaporator have been rinsed off, so we're gonna check the vitals again and see how it's operating. All right, it's amazing what some good airflow can do. We're still a tad low on our superheat, but I'm still kind of letting the system stabilize out. Also, we're under a very low load right now. All the numbers are somewhat decent. Superheat's just a little low. Refrigerant pressures are on point. Temperature split is looking really good at 18.6 degrees. Airflow looks good. Delivered capacity is decent. Yeah. I'd like that superheat just to come a little bit higher. Let's see what Measure Quick has to say. Liquid lines below outdoor air temperature. System may be overcharged and it's kind of going away. Liquid line, because it's still kind of dropping. I'm gonna let it run for a little bit longer. It's possible that we're still running with a wet condenser. All right, the second stage is doing good, but the superheat's a little high. The calculated target is about 8 degrees. So the other one's got really low superheat. This one's got high superheat, so I'm gonna pull a little trick here. Probably gonna take some refrigerant out of the first stage and put it into the second stage. Shouldn't be too hard to do, and then I'll just double check the first stage again to make sure the superheat's at a decent number. Kind of crazy, I got a ball valve with a low loss on one side and a ball valve on the other, and I'm just charging into the second stage. I'm not gonna get it perfect, but this will be better than nothing. All right, we're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So now we're on the low end, right on the, almost on the money on the superheat for the for this stage. So we're gonna jump back over and check the first stage and see how it's acting. All right, this guy's looking good now. About 5 degrees superheat. Everything's kind of stabilized out. So I've got both stages now operating properly within about 7 degrees superheat. So 6, 5, something like that. We're gonna call this one done. I will let the customer know that I had to put some refrigerant in it, and if they want us to come back and leak check, we can, but I need to get on the other one because I got to change the condenser fan motor on that one over there right now. So as I'm getting in here to unhook the electrical, looks like we have a leak on this core. There's a gasket in there too, so we're probably gonna have to replace that, and I have the tool to do it under pressure. So I think what we'll do, since we're changing this condenser fan motor, is I'll go ahead and pull the top off real quick, because it just takes me a minute, and I'll change out that fitting, and then we'll top off the charge and finish with the motor here in a minute. Normally, again, I've said this many times, when doing PMs, customers don't pay you to take the top off the units. That's usually not part of the PM, but I'm doing it to do the Schrader core. So we're gonna go ahead and split this guy and properly clean it from the inside out real quick. It's not the worst in the world, but it's pretty dirty, so get that rinsed real quick. It's not very often that you can actually pull this panel off, but look at how much stuff is behind that panel. It's kind of crazy. So I'll give this guy a rinse real quick. I don't even think we really need cleaner because it's just lint, really. We'll definitely clean the inside of this unit out. Nasty, nasty. Clean it from the other side. And then, like, it's really just really bad in the corners. And like where, like in the top, it's kind of funny. It's not that bad in here. Let's try in here real quick. Oh, it can breathe. Mud coming out of that thing. Pandora's box in here. This is all covered in mold. So it's like I can't leave that alone. I just one thing after another. So I'm gonna vacuum it out real quick, and I got some Strike Back sanitizer. We'll spray all over that from the Refrigeration Technologies, and it'll help to kill all the crap. We're gonna have to be careful too, because a bunch of stuff is getting sucked into here, so we'll have to take the side discharge panel off when we start it up and block the supply off so that we don't blow dust down there. All right, so Strike Back sanitizer, super easy. Spray it all over everything and just leave it there. Let it do its magic. Try not to get it all over the motor, but just getting it all over the foam. Same thing on this, because there was a bunch of mold on this too. It's not going to be perfect, but try to eliminate some of the bacterial growth from coming back maybe. See, it's pretty nasty. Stuff's perfect for that. Just give it one more once over. All right, start putting the unit back together. I lied about having my Core Max tool. It must be at my shop, because I remember using it in my office for a video and I must have left it there. So I just went ahead and put a T on there, an access T. Problem solved. I can always change the, Core Max fitting later, but that'll last forever like that. All right, we're gonna put the top back together, and then we'll evaluate the system, and hopefully probably have to top off the charge is my thought. So we're gonna give it a little test fire. See this blower kick on. I put that panel there so that way the dust can blow out. Might need to give it a little encouragement. Oh no, I can't. I'm gonna have to jump it out. There we go, blowing out a bunch of dust. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that was good. All right, it is. So we're gonna turn the unit off. We're gonna probe up and then jump it out and turn it back on and make sure everything else works properly. And we're probably gonna have to adjust the charge. We are on and running, and we are running extremely low refrigerant pressures. 13-degree evaporator coil, 61 degrees superheat, 10 degrees subcooling. That subcooling is a skewed number because we're using discharge line pressure. We're clearly low on charge. So I'm gonna add a little bit of refrigerant and see how it reacts to that. Again, I charge like this. I already purged everything. I guess I gotta turn the gas on. That would help if I actually turned it on. But yeah, I already purged, and then I just used that ball valve. Just like that. There we go. Alright, I'll keep doing it for a minute and get this superheat down. I don't want to go too low on the superheat because this unit's running low airflow. Let me go over and show you guys. The unit's vibrating and the indoor blower wheel's really caked with dirt. So we've got a 26-degree temp split. The airflow's on the low side. Yeah, so this is about as good as this guy's gonna get. I'll recommend to them a blower cleaning. But yeah, condensed fan motor's running, unit's cleaned up, sanitized, we're good to go. That's it on the roof for today. We'll talk to them about the bad compressor, and then the other stuff, the tripped breaker, I don't know. We'll have to dig into that later. And then the one with the restriction, I'll give them another quote. I gave them a quote last year, and then I'll quit the blower assembly for that make and bear unit. So that's it for today.
Boy, that was one thing after another, right? It happens every once in a while. This call was recorded, I'd say, probably about a month ago, and I've been sitting on this footage. But this happens, especially right now with people not doing normal preventative maintenance. And ironically, I mentioned in the beginning of the video that this customer had just opened up their dining room. We were already closed back down because our numbers for the virus started going up again. So they closed back indoor dining again in that county. Bummer for them. But we still haven't addressed any of the other issues. The customer just wanted to hold off and didn't want to spend any more money than needed. So they're still got a compressor down, all the other things. But at least we got them going while they could have customers in the dining room, and everything was, better than it could have been. So I've got quotes out to them to replace the compressor. I really encourage them to change the entire unit. But, that I doubt they're going to do that. So I've got a quote out to change the compressor, quote out to rebuild the indoor blower assembly. I told them I wanted to come back and do leak checks, all that good stuff. And they're just not approving anything at this time. And most restaurants aren't, because they just don't know what's going to happen. Now, as we come towards the end of the year, You know, I don't know which one of these restaurants is going to be gone next year. It's kind of crazy how this is all going down. It's just crazy, you know. So I just do my best, triage the units, try to stay level-headed. It's really easy on calls like this to get overwhelmed because there's so many things going on. But you just have to be able to tackle things systematically, you know, one thing at a time, like I did showing in the video, you know, bad condenser fan motor, nothing I can do about it now. Move on to the next one, you know, and then I got a parts list. And I went and got the condenser fan motor and the pulley at the same time, you know, so then that way I only left the restaurant once and then came back and fixed them as we went through. And then I had another service tech there that was changing all the filters and cleaning the units up and, you know, doing that basic PM. They didn't want to go too crazy with it. But anyways, really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video to the end. Please, if you haven't already, consider supporting the channel. There's a couple different ways you can do it. Simply just watch the videos. That's the easiest way to support the channel. Leave me some feedback down in the bottom. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you may see or whatever you want to do. If you want to monetarily support the channel, you guys are, if you're interested, you can go to hvacrvideos.com. I have merch available, hats, soon to be beanies, soon to be hoodies. I have shirts available at this time, so feel free to check that out. If you guys are also interested, you can become Patreon patrons. You can become YouTube channel members. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I really, really appreciate you guys. Also, last thing, live streams Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific time on my YouTube channel. And then I also go live on the HVAC Overtime channel on Friday evenings with my buddies and kind of just talk about everything. So that's it. We will catch you guys on the next one.